It was an absolutely massive night for Irish rugby last night because there was an Irish rugby winner at Love Island.
Apparently so. I was at the races, so I missed it.
So you've watched 9 months of this, or however, it's like 4 years of Love Island. You've watched every single minute, but you missed the final.
Didn't get the payoff.
That's mad.
I didn't even get a winner at Galway, so bad decisions all round.
Well, let's find out exactly how the decision was announced. Have a listen.
The public have been watching your every move. We've laughed with you, we've cried with you, but most of all, we've fallen in love with you. And now it's time to reveal the winning couple. The winners of Love Island 2019 are... Greg and
Yeah, so that's the news that Limerick's Greg O'Shea is the champion of Love Island alongside Amber Gill. This was unexpected?
Not at all. Not at all, no. I think over the last week or so, he finished strongly. But
is he not just a blow-in? Did he not just arrive?
Yeah, he is the reality TV version of an 80-minute performance. Everyone get on down to the Walkinstown roundabout. It's a proud day for Irish sport once again this morning. He was a blow-in, but he made a great impact.
How long was he there?
I want to say 2.5 weeks.
Well, that's not very long, is it?
No, he came in and he was, I don't want to say he was opportunistic, but things fell well for him. Amber's heart was broken, and an Irishman came into the villa and mended it for her.
All
and in the end, he gets 25k.
Maura finished 4th.
Did she? Yeah.
That's what it says. Yeah.
Right. Well, good for her, and maybe get down to the Walkinstown roundabout for her as well.
So the one bit that I'm going to read here is Greg had the option of keeping the entire 50 grand prize money for himself after being handed the golden envelope, but chose love over money and shared the winnings with Amber.
That is a twist. I didn't see that twist coming. That's like that really vicious reality TV show game that they play in the United States, where you can either keep the money, you got to bluff the opposition in the final. So they obviously had to play that last night, and I'm glad he did the right thing.
Well,
not surprised at all.
I mean, it's good marketing anyway.
Yeah, he seems like a good guy, Greg. So I'm sure that'll propel his rugby career to the next level as well.
The best thing to come out of the Munster Academy in about 10 years? Joke.
No comment.
Right, Beltastic, Toshak sickened by wingers' antics. Wales legend slams the Stars language. This is clearly the worst element of silly season. This is the Star. They have spoken to John Toshak. He's like, maybe Gareth should have learned the language, and that has transferred into him slamming Gareth Bale. Juve taking the lead. Juventus last night moved into pole position to sign Romelu Lukaku. This is because Inter won't match Manchester United asking demands. Jody's joy at Galway Glory, we've spoken about that already. And Ref Clear is back, so the GA, the hurling referees body, has come out and backed, as you would expect, Sean Clear. Qualified backing. They said he did the right thing when it came to the Hawkeye call. They said they would be reviewing the decision not to allow an advantage when Tipperary did score that goal that ultimately gets called back for a free. So we'll be looking at that, which isn't exactly a backing. And they said, he's smart enough not to look at social media anyway. So a difficult few days for Sean Clear.
The Irish Examiner this morning leads with tactical strike. Cats hero Brian Hogan shoots down talk of strategies and sweepers. John Fogarty then has given us 8 ways to ease the pressure on referees. It involves giving more responsibility to the Hawkeye referee. Mike Quirk talking about coaching kids. Try more asking than telling, more listening than shouting. And Top Gunner, fans in for a treat as £72 million Pepe deal nears. That could rise to, well, it is €80 million, the deal for Nicolas Pepe, who's going to come to Arsenal, the second top scorer in Ligue 1 last year after Kylian Mbappe. So he's a great signing really for Arsenal, who said they had a war chest of £40 million, let's not forget, turning out to be quite the strategy in terms of actually entering the transfer market. And the French connection, Ronan O'Gara is doing the rounds, hits the ground running as La Rochelle head coach.
The back page of the Herald is Reds closing Maguire. Lukaku sale key as United step up bid for defender. So it looks like Harry Maguire to Manchester United is going to happen. Clark injury agony. This is a terrible story. A dream day for Dubliner Trevor Clark turned into a nightmare after he sustained a serious looking knee injury just as confirmation of his move from Shamrock Rovers to League One side Rotherham was being made public. So the switch was formally announced yesterday by his new employers, and they were waiting for international clearance to go through on the 120 grand deal, but it later emerged that he had picked up an injury around that time in an under-23 game with Newcastle. Apparently he missed most of 2018 with a knee injury, so this is a huge setback for him. Hopefully it's not too serious. Front page story, Anthony Stokes, ex-Ireland star, pleads guilty, stalker Stokes. So Anthony Stokes has pleaded guilty in a Scottish court and admitted stalking his ex-girlfriend and the mother of his 2-year-old son and her mother between July last year and last February using 6 different mobile phones, sending 100 texts a day on WhatsApp and email, as well as calling her a slut, a slag and a whore. Sentencing has been adjourned on that until September.
Irish Times this morning leads with Kevin McStay's column. Murphy and O'Shea, key men in seismic showdown. Great piece from Kevin McStay today. He speaks about criticism of Michael Murphy. I know that there is this criticism because he didn't perform in the 2014 All-Ireland final against Kerry when Aidan O'Mahony did a number on him. I think Joe Brodie referred to that a couple of weeks ago on RTE as Aidan O'Mahony having a saddle on the back of Michael Murphy. We'll get Aidan O'Mahony's take on that a little bit later on. He's given huge praise to the two players, as you'd imagine they both deserve. He says, I have to say, I think Michael Murphy is extraordinary in his range of abilities and influence. Has there been a better footballer in the past 20 years? Not for me, says Kevin McStay. And it's a shout, for sure.
Well, I've been making that shout for 6 months. You're like, nah, it's ridiculous.
Not for the last, you were calling him the LeBron James.
Yeah, exactly.
Which means
best player of the last 20 years. Best player of the last 20 years.
If you're talking to me about LeBron James, I'm saying the greatest of all time. So I'm not making that
best player of the last 20
equation.
years.
Best player, it's a shout. Like it's up there. I think in terms of being able to do everything, he's right up there. Like, is he the best player in any specific position? I think if you put him into perhaps the middle of the park, he's right up there with Jack O'Shea if you want to extend it to the last 30, 40 years in that position. But could Jack O'Shea be versatile enough to move into 11, move into full forward?
Jack might have been, you know.
He talks then about who's going to mark him at the weekend. Lee Keegan, the man for the job, he says.
The Irish News, search on for new Fermanagh boss. Rory Gallagher has obviously stepped down. I wonder, is Rory Gallagher looking at some of the other jobs around the country and thinking, I might put my hat in for that? I wonder, would he be a shout for the Kildare job? It's going to be interesting to see who Kildare go for next. Crucial Donegal-Mayo clash should be free to air, says Declan Bonner. He's saying that he's been going around some nursing homes recently and visiting people in hospitals over the last couple of weeks, and they don't have it on Sky. They'd like to see the game, but they don't have the option now. That decision was made way above where I am. You'd like everyone to see it. It's a bone of contention, but the GAA have signed a deal with Sky, and that's not going to change anytime soon. The viewing figures aren't there, but I'm sure somebody is making money out of it, he said. So that game is exclusively on Sky this weekend, the Donegal-Mayo game.
The Mirror this morning. This could be a headline from any point over the last 6-7 weeks. The price is wrong. Inter accused United of asking too much for Lukaku, while the Reds won't be bullied into £90 million Maguire deal. Those sagas are rumbling on. The Gareth Bale saga is rumbling on. Bale's insults. Sick and Tosh blasts Star after move collapses. So this is John Toshak talking about how Gareth Bale hasn't exactly endeared himself to the Real Madrid support, to people in Spain in general, hasn't bothered to learn the language, hasn't even picked up a few phrases here or there. And Virgil van Dijk says we don't need new players. They haven't had a good pre-season, Liverpool, but Virgil van Dijk says chill out.
Exactly. Galway Days, Ballybrick gets ready to celebrate 150 years of racing. This is this week's Irish Field. Obviously, racing underway there yesterday. We'll be talking about that in detail a little bit later on.
And I think you're just finishing up with the Irish Independent there. That's the front page of their supplement on Galway. Great White completes fairy tale for Jodie Townend.
Refs to review Hawkeye intervention guidelines. McGrath goal chalked off after umpires told to allow score detection system make the call. So basically the umpires did exactly what they were supposed to do. Willie Barrett, who's obviously a Tipperary man, is chair of the National Referees Committee, and they said that they had instructed the umpires to leave any decision about whether or not the ball had crossed the crossbar to Hawkeye, and so the umpires did exactly what they were supposed to do as opposed to signalling to the referee, and because they feel that maybe the Hawkeye person monitoring Hawkeye might have had a second look at it just to make sure. Meantime, ball's in the back of the net and they're like, that was actually a point down there, so you need to call all that back. And then obviously that's Gary Rogers arriving in Baku after a 10-hour flight for the big Champions League game, and Munster will be transformed by Larkham, insists O'Gara, who also says at some point he would like to take the job. Also, sorry, the final big news there is that the Irish Open is moving to September next year, and that Mount Juliet is a likely venue. Mount Juliet's hosted the Irish Open before, and it has always been great, so that'll be no harm at all.